Puerto Rico is one of my favorite places on earth. I love the culture, I love the people, and I love the food. And every time I go to that island, I have to get churrasco. It is absolutely my favorite dish on the island. And I'm going to show you how to make it today on Greg the Grilling Guy. Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. If you like what I'm doing here, please think about hitting like and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel. So as I mentioned, I was out today. I was going to buy some churrasco, or I decided I wanted to make some homemade fresh churrasco. It just reminds me of Puerto Rico. I absolutely love it. And I actually found a picanha steak. Now, picanha steak is basically, it's a top cap sirloin. You can see it's got the heavy fat ribbon around the top. Now, most people look at that and say nasty. That's going to give it some good solid flavor. So I was actually planning on making it with a skirt steak, like the kind of the heavy beefy flavor that comes out of a skirt steak. But when I saw this cut of meat, this is what you would see at a fogo de chao or a Brazilian steakhouse. When the cubes come out, they're kind of bent around into a C shape, which we're going to do today. So I thought, well, hey, why not give this a try? So never done this before, but I'm going to cut this into strips so that I can actually make those C shapes and put it onto the skewers. And then I'm going to make my own homemade churrasco sauce. And I'll walk you through it, and we're going to see how this goes. So let's get to cutting. So when it comes to cutting this meat, I want to cut it thick, but not too thick. I definitely don't want to go thin because, as I say, I'm going to curl this around and put it on skewers and then cook this over an open flame. And I'm going to cook it fast. It's going to stay over the flame for probably 2 to 3 minutes per side. Probably get it up to around 130 degrees, which is where I want it to be. So you don't want it too thin so it dries out, but you don't want it so fat that it's not going to be able to cook through. So let's just line this thing up here. Now I do like a bigger slice, so we're going to cut it a little bit thicker than what you may normally see. But I mean, I'm thinking probably an inch thick is what I'm looking for, and you want to make sure you leave that fat cap on. Now that I've got the meat cut up, I'm actually going to further sub-cut it down just because some of these pieces are massive. So I'm going to cut these kind of in half so I can just enough that I'm going to be able to bend them as such and make the skewer that I can put them on the skewer. So get these things taken down, and then we'll start working on the marinade. With the meat cut and off to the side, it's time to actually make up the marinade. Now, I will put the actual amount of ingredients in the description below because I pre-measured this stuff so that we're not wasting a lot of time going through. So if you're interested, it will be in the description. So I've got just a gallon Ziploc bag here. And in there, I'm going to put some olive oil. I can tell you that this looks to be about a half a cup of olive oil, a quarter cup of red wine vinegar. I have 2 cloves of freshly diced garlic that I just did up, and the whole house stinks, so my wife is not going to be happy. And the juice of 2 limes, some freshly diced parsley, freshly diced cilantro, black pepper, paprika, ground cumin, salt, ground chili, and some chili pepper flakes. This is optional, but I like the heat, so I'm going to toss that in. So you have that in there. We'll mix it up in the bag to make sure everything gets thoroughly coated. It'll be kind of a thicker mix, and I'm going to put this in the marinade. I'm actually doing this the day before. I want it to sit overnight so that the steak actually absorbs all of this marinade. If you're doing it the day of, I would say do it at least 3 to 4 hours ahead of time so it's got plenty of time to absorb. But for me, the meat cubes are going to go in here. It's going to go in the fridge overnight, and then we'll get ready for the cook. So I'll add the meat in off camera, and tomorrow morning we will pick this up as we get ready to do the cook. So the churrasco has marinated overnight in the fridge, in the bag. So it's had almost 24 hours in there. So I'm really expecting a lot of flavor penetration. Now you may notice that I've only got 1 skewer here when I probably got enough to make 3 or 4 skewers of meat. That's basically because the party that I'm having, the people that I'm cooking for, It's going to be a little later today. You can see we're losing light right now, so I want to at least get a shot in of the cook. So I've taken this thing, I've cubed it. I actually cubed it a little too thick to get a proper bend on it. So these are more kebabs than they are a proper Brazilian barbecue. But I have the barbecue set. I'm actually doing this over direct heat. This isn't going to be a low and slow cook. This is going to go directly over. So I'm actually using the lump charcoal because I want to get as much heat up onto this as possible. I would expect this to take somewhere between 5 to 6 minutes overall, constantly turning the meat to make sure it gets cooked through. And I do have my digital thermometer that I'll be using to make sure I hit an internal temperature around 135, because that's basically where I want to pull it, 130, 135, and then let it come up a bit further as it rests. So let's get this onto the barbecue and get it cooking. As I said, we're going to be turning this fairly frequently because I don't want it to get burnt or charred on the other side. Because I had that large fat cap on there, you can actually see it flaming up a bit, so you want to try to avoid having it sit with the flames licking it for an extended period. So we'll continue to move this around. At a certain point, I will set it on its side so the fat cap's actually on top and let that fat kind of render down into the steak as well. I should also mention that I took the Churrasco out and let it sit on the counter for about 40 minutes because it's a thicker, denser piece of meat. I wanted to make sure it had plenty of time to basically warm up, because obviously if the center's cold when you're trying to cook it like this, you're never going to get it to temperature before you dry out the outside. So remember to take that out early. So it's been a couple minutes, and the thicker cube at the back is probably about 80 degrees. The one in the middle is 100, and the small piece at the front is probably cooking about 115. So I've kind of moved that front piece away from the direct heat and allowing the others two to catch up. But it's only been a few minutes, and you can see that it's almost ready to where I'm going to take it in. I've got a clean plate to put this on. I'll actually put it in the barbecue bag to rest it for a few minutes, and then we'll cut in to see how this goes. All right, this thing is just about the temperature, so I'm gonna plate it, wrap it, and I'll meet you inside. The steak's been in the bag and resting for about 10 or 15 minutes, so let's cut into this and see how it goes. Now you'll notice on the cook, I didn't add any smoke or put any type of a rub or anything on there. This is strictly the marinade that we created yesterday that's going to give all the flavor into this steak, so I'm looking forward to this. Take the big cube. Certainly feels tender. Look at that. Got some nice pink there in the center. I'm looking forward to tasting this. I know I've said it before, but that is good. I absolutely love that flavor. It just reminds me of the island and the people. It's such a special place in my heart. So, hey, hope you guys get a chance to try this at home. I would highly recommend it. It's easy, step by step. You can follow through. If you like what you've seen, again, please hit like and subscribe for this video. It helps the channel out. Lets me know that you guys are enjoying the videos I'm putting out. I will put a link down in the description to both the ingredients for the marinade, as well as any Amazon links to any tools that I've used. If you're going to order them, think about using those links. That also helps the channel out. But hey guys, thanks for sticking with me this long. And until next time, grill it real good.